can speak to bringing forces from the base that are based in the continental United States to any point of need internationally, and
Okay.
and whether it's a force element, whether it's material alone, or whether
Right.
it's a commodity of supply, and it really is a complex orchestration of a lot of different activities that begins at the point of origin to the point of need. But it starts with understanding the requirement at the point of need and being able to communicate that requirement in space and in time back to the force provider. So that force provider is made aware of a requirement to generate a capability, whether it's a force or it's material. But then there's a large joint deployment distribution enterprise through the United States Transportation Command that really harnesses the power of military sea lift, airlift, ground transportation, leveraging not just military movement capacity but also civilian capacity. And so readiness at the fort then gets translated into really potential energy, right? And it is put onto a conveyance, synchronized through space, and really when you start thinking of movement through multiple layers, there's a protection piece of this to be able to protect it across the deployment continuum. There's a timing piece of this so that it's moving in space along with other conveyances that are moving in various pipelines, and then it's brought to bear and presented to the theater that needs it. And so forces that arrive too early is not good because the theater may not be ready to absorb it. Forces that arrive late is not good because it's late to the point of need. And so arrival when required is what's needed, and then that theater has to be ready to receive it and integrate it into where it's got to go. And so now we're talking about another series of synchronization steps. And in the military, we have an acronym called RSOI: reception, staging, onward movement, and integration. And so the theater is prepared to receive that force, whether it's by airlift or by sea lift. We receive it. The equipment and personnel are married together in a staging operation, so now you have an actual coherent force element that can be put into the fight. But it's not going to fight at the port of debarkation. It's got to be onward moved to an area where it can be integrated with other forces, and then integrated also into a commander, into a command structure, so it can be given instructions, and then it's integrated into the fight. And here in the Korean Peninsula, it's integrated into a combined force structure. And so when we come together as a combined forces command, we have a U.S. four-star general who is the combined forces command commander, but his component commanders, whether it's ground or maritime or air, are a combination of senior ROC or senior U.S. commanders. And so those force elements are integrated in those underneath those component commands, and then employed by the combined forces command. So it's an interesting and fascinating process to be able to have a requirement that's generated at the lead edge of the battlefield, transmitted back to the continental United States, deployed, and then integrated into the fight. And so the meme will show a Burger King being offloaded from an airplane, but the work that went into it and all the different folks that are in conveyances that bring it to bear is just really, really interesting.